such way, with the help of that, you can be making data persisting forever. ORM is object relational mapping. It's a programming technique. With the help of that, we can convert data between relational databases and object-oriented programming languages, such as Java, C Sharp, VB.NET, Ruby. There can be number of languages. All of them support the ORM technology. These days, ORM technology is supported by most of the languages, and even technologies, they also support the ORM technologies. So when you use ORM, there are certain advantages. As I told you, there are different ORM technologies available, like Spring DAO, it is Spring Data Access Objects. Spring is one of the MVC models, which is nothing but a inversion of control, and other thing is dependency injection you can have with the help of the Spring DAO. Then Hibernate is one such tool, TopLink is one such tool, Caster, Java data objects, and EJB entity beans. All these we can use for, say, persisting data. That is with the help of the Hibernate, with the help of the ORM. All these are nothing but here ORM tools. Hibernate is one such tool. With the help of Hibernate, you can make data persisting without much difficulty. Otherwise, a lot of effort you need to put by using JDBC API. So instead of that, with the help of the Hibernate API or Hibernate technologies, very easily you can manage the data. You can make data persisting in the database. So these are going to be different, frameworks or APIs we can say. So with the help of them, you can make data getting persisted in the database. So here you have certain advantages when you use the ORM technologies. Here see, whatever code you write, that's nothing but business code. It's going to access objects rather than DB tables. You never access the database table straight away. So with the help of the code objects only, you are going to manage it. With the help of your business code only, you are going to achieve it. So the Hibernate is going, the ORM tools are going to hide the details of SQL queries from object-oriented logic. Then similarly, if you take all these things, internally they are going to use the JDBC, Java database connectivity. They are going to use internally. They are going to use JDBC. With the help of that, they can do. And we did not bother much about the database implementation. So entities based on business concepts here rather than with DB schema there, DB structure. So without bothering much about schema structure, depending on the business objects, we are going to do it. So depending on the business concepts only, we are going to do it. Entities, they are going to work based on the business concepts rather than DB structure or DB schema. Okay, so an ORM solution does consist of the different criteria. Like first of all, an API to perform basic CRUD operations on objects of persistent classes. You may have an employee class, which is nothing but persistent class. So persistent class means which you can save in the database. That should be a POJO class, POJO class kind of thing actually. You should have some kind of API to perform CRUD operations. CRUD is nothing but create, retrieve, update, and other thing is delete. So a language of API to specify queries that refer to classes and properties of classes. So there should be some kind of HQL here, Hibernate query language we say. So with the help of that, you can be querying the database. Similarly, a configuration facility we should have for specifying mapping metadata. How you are going to map metadata? There should be some kind of configuration facility. Then a technique to interact with, say, transactional objects to perform dirty checking, lazy association, fetching, and other types of functions. So a technique is required. With the help of that, what you do, you can be looking for the transactional objects to perform here dirty checking, then lazy association, fetching, and other functions. So here you require these 4 criteria as far as ORM tools are concerned. Very first thing is what here, you should be having the API. With help of that you perform the CRUD operations. And second thing is configuration is going to be very important. What, Adam? You are saying something? No, POJO is not constructor. POJO is actually default constructor.
Default constructor, right?
POJO has default constructor. POJO is not constructor. POJO is basically plain old Java object. It contains actually a private fields, then it has a default constructor, then other thing is going to be in this, we have a set and get methods. These are basically with the POJO. POJO means plain old Java object. You have set and get methods, private fields, then other thing is you have default constructor. That's basically called as a POJO.
Okay.
POJO stands for plain old Java object. It is not overloaded with number of things actually. It's a plain object. Just you can create an object, you can have some kind of state with the help of the POJO. Using POJO, you can be having some kind of state. You can assign some properties, you can retrieve some properties. That is basically called as a POJO class. Or POJO we say. POJO stands for plain old Java object. Object is, as you know, a class instantiation is object. POJO is going to be the same thing in that.
Thank you.
See, whenever we talk about Hibernate, Hibernate is going to take care of mapping Java classes to database tables using XML files and without writing any line of code. You don't write much code. Without writing much code, you are going to map Java classes to database tables. Whatever Java objects you create, you can be mapping with the database tables with the help of the Hibernate. See, you are going to make a Java application. In the Java application, you can have their persistent object, a class you create so that you can in fact that can contain different data like ID, name, age. They can be called as basically a persistent class. So the class's object is called a persistent object. Then this data you are going to save in the database. For that purpose, you require there the configuration files as well as mapping files. You have both XML files. One is hibernation properties file. Other one is hibernation configuration file. With the help of that, you are going to map the persistent object to the database. You are going to connect the persistent object with the database with the help of the configuration file as well as here mapping file. You have both XML files with the help of that you can do. For that purpose, you have to know about the XML. What is XML? You have to know. I was saying from the beginning. So XML, XSLT, XSD, this all you have to know. Here you have a well-defined XML. With the help of XML only, you can do all these things. You have XML file. I just show you what is XML file in this. Let me expand here. This particular thing, I can show you here what is exactly the XML file is. I have two XML files. One is Hibernate cfg.xml. Other one is user hbm.xml file. These two are the XML files I have here. Like this, we create an XML file. This is called as well-defined XML file. This is nothing but a well-defined XML file. So every XML file should have a root node. Normally the tags of XML file should be written in the lowercase, and a root node can have actually child nodes in this. A session factory you have here. So every node should be getting closed properly. It is starting here, it's getting closed here. If you look at session factory, it's starting here, it's ending here. Even if you look at the individual properties, here you have property, the name node attribute node you have here, type of operation update. So like this you are going to keep. These can be called as basically XML files. You can have configuration with the XML file. Even mapping also can be with the XML file here. You can have a mapping. This also can be having here XML file. Here I am going to map. Very first thing is XML heading is required here. Then followed by what schema we are using. This is important here. So we use some DTD, data type definition. So with the help of that you can be mapping it here. Hibernate mapping, it's closing here, and what class exactly you are going to use, you can keep here. So this way we are going to be making this particular thing here. So this is what exactly XML files, with the help of XML files we can be doing. If you look at this, here we have a class called as user.java. This is called as a persistent class. This we can call as here persistent class. If you look at this class, there are private data like ID, then followed by first name, last name. You have get ID, set ID, get first name, set first name, get last name, first last name. Like this we have here. This can be called as a persistent object, or we can say a class with which you can create a persistent object. Then later on with your code, you are going to save this in the database, for which we are going to use.
Professor, why do we need a persistent class?
Persistent class is nothing but actually you can create an object. That object as it is you are going to persist in the database as a table.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have a user class. With the help of user class, what I do, I can create a user object. This user object, as it is, I'm going to save in the database like a table. So that is basically a persistent class.
Okay. Okay.
So here we have a Java application. Java application is containing one persistent object, then followed by, we have here hibernation configuration files as well as XML mapping file you have. One is what? Hibernate cfg.xml, user.hbm.xml file. So with the help of the configuration class, it can find out all this information. So there is hierarchy of class in the Hibernate. We discuss about that. So once we finish this, we discuss about those. So this is going to contain here this Java application is containing a persistent object. It's nothing but user object. Then you have these two configuration files, and with the help of these, we can be getting connected to underlying database. So we use here Hibernate jar file. So we use here Hibernate jar file. Here I kept it. This should be in the class path always. You have to keep in the class path. You might be knowing about what is a class path. Class path we need to create a class path in this manner. So come to this here, go to computer. In the computer, you make this. Here it is going to be properties. So whenever you come to in this you go to advanced settings. In the advanced settings, you go to environment variables, and here you can find the class path. Edit this one here. So click on OK, and I try to show you what exactly is in the class path. I have set all these in the class path. Hibernation files are available here. All these libraries here. See, I have written C colon. First thing is C, Java lib, ULI, user libraries. Then this is other thing is for Spring related things I am keeping in that. One more thing is going to be C colon users, Aladi desktop data files, commons, logging, 1.2, bin. These are required for the Hibernate actually. So like this, wherever classes are available, we are going to put here. In the bin folder, they are available there. This is called as basically class path. It's an environment variable. Automatically, this will be picked by Java runtime environment. So whatever classes you have, you need to put in the class path, all these. So the directory where you are having class files, you should put in the class path variable. So class path variable is environment variable that will be picked automatically by the JRE. Java runtime environment can understand easily it can know about the classes where exactly they are available. So with the help of class path, you can be setting where you can find the class files. So here we have the concerned jar files, whether they can be executable jars or they can be normal jars. We can have in this particular folder. In the commonos logging 1.2 -bin, in that again you have commonos logging -1.2. There you can find the required files for the Hibernation. Even for others also you find them. We kept there, and apart from that we added here another jar file also. So like this, they should be in the class path. We need to keep in the class path, then only they can be working. Otherwise, you get the class not found exception. Class def not found exception you'll be getting. Yesterday I have sent you those exceptions. What are the exceptions? Probably you come you get in the runtime. I have sent you those things. Are you getting emails, Stephen, from me every day?
Yeah.
Tharal, are you getting emails?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you going through them?
Hello?
Are you going through them?
Yes, sir. I went through them today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Regarding ant, I have sent. Regarding jar, I have sent. Then regarding even other things also, I think I have sent yesterday. They are very, very important. In fact, go through them, please. So now this is what here Hibernate. Basically, Hibernate application is going to be something like this: a Java application, a persistent object or objects. Need not be only one object; it can be number of objects. Then you have there Hibernate properties file, then XML mapping file, then database. Ultimately, they get connected to the databases. So Hibernate uses various existing APIs like JDBC, or it may be using JNDI. Okay, so with the help of the JNDI also, we can be doing it. There is nothing but naming services we have, directory naming services or directory naming interface. With the help of that, we can be using, we can use names. They can be servers in the particular network, like LDAP you can use, or domain name server you can use. With the help of that, we can be getting mapped to the concerned sources. Data sources can be connected with the help of the JDNI. It can use either JDBC or it can use JDNI. With the help of that, we get connected to underlying databases. JDBC provides a rudimentary level of abstraction of functionality common to relational databases. So with the help of JDBCI, we get connected. Internally it uses JDBC. With the help of that only it gets connected and performs the various operations there. The Hibernate is going to perform those operations. So there are different objects we use in the Hibernate. This is going to be important. There are different objects we use in the Hibernate. Very first object is going to be configuration object. We have a configuration object that is going to be important object in this. The first one is going to be here a configuration object. So with the help of configuration object, this is the first object we create in Hibernate application. It's usually created only once during application initialization. We don't do number of times this one. Only once we create this. Whenever you start application at that time, we are going to make only once this particular object. It represents a configuration of properties file required by the Hibernate. So here we create only once this object, configuration object we create only once. Throughout application, it's going to be available here. Only once we create, this is going to be representing the properties file required by the Hibernate. So Hibernate, whatever properties are required, they are going to be represented by here configuration object. We create a configuration object, then with the help of that, Hibernate is going to get information related to the database configuration there. So configuration object provides, there are two components with the configuration object. First thing is going to be database connection. Second thing is going to be class mapping. So this is going to be database connection. First we have a database connection. The other thing is going to be here the class mapping setup. These two things are available with there are two components available with the configuration. Class mapping setup is going to be available for us in this. One is database connection, other one is class mapping setup. So the database connection is handled through one or more configuration files, Hibernate properties and Hibernate cfg.xml. There are two files I was saying. One is what here, Hibernate properties and Hibernate configuration XML. With the help of these two files, we can have here the database connection information. So this database connection is handled with help of one or more configuration files. One is what Hibernate properties and other one is here Hibernate configuration.xml. So using them we manage here database. Second thing is here going to be class mapping setup. So these components creates a connection between the Java classes and database tables. So class mapping setup is going to be here. It is a component. This is going to create the connection between the Java classes and database tables. So these two components are important as far as configuration object is concerned. One is database connection, other one is going to be class mapping setup. Whatever persistent objects are available, they must be mapped with the database. So for that we use here class mapping setup. See, using this configuration object, a session factory object is created. So session factory object with the help of configuration file, session object is instantiated. We have like this, first of all configuration object, then we have a session factory, then with the help of that we create here a session object. Session factory, and next thing is going to be a session object we create. So once session object is created here, so once session object is created, we can perform here different operations on that. But session factory object is actually very heavyweight object. Only during once in the application life cycle we use it. So when application is started, at that time we create the session factory object, and that only we are using in the entire application. So once we create the session factory object, this is going to be very, very heavy. Only once we create the same created one we use throughout the application. So as long as application is running, we are going to use the same thing because it's a heavy object. Then after that we have a session object. The first thing is here configuration object, session factory object, followed by you have a session object. Session factory object is going to create the required session object for us. A session object is used to get a physical connection with the database. It is a lightweight object. It has to be instantiated each time an interaction is needed with the database. See, session object, whenever you want to insert some data, you can instantiate session object. Once the transaction is over, you can be closing it. So every time you want to perform some operation with the database, you should create the session object because it's lightweight. Unlike configuration and session factory, it's not actually, heavyweight. So since it's lightweight, every time you want to perform some operation, you can create. So once your, operation is completed, you can destroy that object. So therefore, session object is going to be important object in this. A session object is used to get a physical connection with a database. To get connected with the physical database, we use here session object. With the help of that, we do it. It's a lightweight object. It has to be instantiated each time an instruction is needed with the database. So whenever you want to have an interaction or if you want to perform any kind of operation with the database, so at that time we can be creating the session object. Whenever you want to have whenever you are giving any instruction to database or whenever you are trying to interact something with the database or whenever you want to execute some command with database, in such cases, you can use the session object there. So using session object, the session object can be created every time you want to perform an operation with the database because it's a lightweight object. It's going to be lightweight object. So persistent objects are saved and retrieved through a session object. Using session object only, we are going to save them as well as we are going to retrieve data from the underlying database. Then you have a transaction object. Other object is going to be transaction object. First one is a configuration object. Second thing is going to be session. And third one is going to be session. So here session we have. Fourth one is going to be a transaction object. See, transaction is nothing but a unit of work with a database and most of the RDBMS supports transactions functionality. Transaction is nothing but a unit of work. Unit of complete work is called as normally transaction. So there we use like commit and rollback we use here in this. Commit as well as rollback we use. So this may contain more than one SQL Server statement. You may try to execute. Upon success, everything should be getting succeeded. If it is failing, anyone is failing, everything should be failed. So these are going to perform here CRUD operations. They must be performing here CRUD operations. So here this is all of CRUD operations. Only session can perform CRUD operations, but this uses here ACID properties. We know ACID properties: atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. We perform with the help of transaction this ACID. Without transaction also you can do, but with transaction also you can be doing. So when you do with transaction, the unit of work you can complete successfully. But if you don't use transaction, partially you can be saving data, partially you may not save. So you don't have the integrity of data if you don't use transactions. But if you use transaction, it's guaranteed always. Integrity of database is guaranteed if you use the transaction object. A transaction object represents a unit of work with a database. And most of the RDBMS supports transaction functionality. Most of the database they are going to support the transaction functionality. The next one is going to be here a query object. You have a query object. With the help of query object, we can be querying the data. We can query data with the help of the query object. We have a query object. With the help of query object, we can be querying data. Query objects use SQL or Hibernate query language. You can use HQL, it's a Hibernate query language. With the help of that, we can be querying it. See, these days programming language, they are supporting their own languages also. So we say HBL, sometimes we say LINQ. LINQ stands for Language Integrated Query. That is with the data, with C#, with VB.NET. And as far as Hibernate is concerned, it's having its language called as HQL. With the help of that, you can query. It supports both SQL as well as HQL, Hibernate query language or SQL. So it's going to retrieve data from the database and create objects. A query instance is used to bind query parameters. With the help of query parameters, we can create the query instance there. So here we have a query object. With the help of query object, we can execute, we can retrieve data. Query basically retrieving only. So with the help of the query object, we can be retrieving data from the underlying database table. We can retrieve data from the underlying database table with the help of the query only. So next thing is here, other object is going to be criteria object. So with the help of the criteria object, we use criteria objects to create and execute object-oriented criteria queries to retrieve objects. You can create query object based on the query object. We can be retrieving data. So here you have a criteria. Using that, we can query data. So before you do anything with the Hibernate, you need to download Hibernate files. Then you need to install. Install is nothing but here actually you need to download. You need to unzip. Once unzip, you have to create a class path. So wherever your Hibernate jar files are available, you must put them in the class path. You must be putting them in the class path. Okay. So whenever you take the Hibernate library, it contains actually, it is part of the /lib folder. When you unzip, you find them in the /lib folder. There you can find the Hibernate files. And the root of it, you find a file called as Hibernate xxx.jar. If you look at this application, you find that file. Here it is what Hibernate 3-3.1 jar file. So this is the main file, very important file actually. So this file is required. Along with that, there are certain other files we require in the Hibernate. So those jar files are going to be DOM for J, DOM for J we have, that is required. Similarly, we have XALAN. So DOM for J is basically meant for parsing XML file. We can have XML parsing. As far as XML parsing is concerned, we can have one is DOM parsing, other one is SAX parsing. We have a DOM parsing, other one is SAX parsing. DOM stands for document object model. SAX stands for simple API for XML. So DOM is going to be heavyweight. SAX is going to be lightweight. SAX is lightweight. DOM is basically for it's a heavyweight. Entire XML you need to move into memory. Then you can perform some operations on the XML file. But as far as SAX is concerned, with the help of XPath, you can go to the concern node. From node, you can be picking data. So DOM and SAX are the parsers. They are available within this DOM for J. DOM stands for document object model for Java, that is. So that jar file is required. Similarly, we have here XALAN. XALAN stands for XSLT. XSLT stands for XML style sheet transformation. XML style sheet transformation. So with the help of that, you can be converting XML file into here some HTML file. With the help of XSLT, you can do it. You have an XML file. When you take an XML file, when you try to render that on the screen, how it looks, just see here how XML file looks. Show me and let me show you some file, how XML file normally looks. Whenever you look at the CDS, this is called as CDS file. So this is going to be a CDS file. How it looks, see in this. Open with the Internet Explorer or Chrome. I open with the Internet Explorer. It is going to look something like this here. You have a catalog, you have CD like this, the XML file is going to be looking for you. So it is not having any well-defined layout for this particular data. You don't have a proper layout in this. But with the help of the XSLT, you can transform this into a better looking kind of thing. With the help of XSLT, you can do it. So all these can be arranged in a table. In the table, you can be showing with the help of the XSLT. So XSLT is one such mechanism. With the help of that, you do it. Here we have a CDS file. This is called an XSLT file. With the help of that, we can transform it into well-defined format. So with the help of this, what we do, we are going to render it. Like this, we can use a for loop, for each loop. With the help of for each loop, we are going to put them in the table. This is called as basically XSLT file. So such XSLT features we find within the here XALAN jar file. In the XALAN jar file, we find the XSLT parsing mechanism you have in that. Then you have here log4j. It is nothing but logging framework. Then you have common OS. So this is going to be something like email facility you have in that. One more thing is here SLF for J, it is logging facade for Java. So these are required in the case of the Hibernate. Whenever you work with the Hibernate, so these are required basically. These are available within the given folder. So if you come into the concerned folder, you can find all these files. On the desktop, in the data files, we have it. So you can find here the Hibernate related files. Look at common OS. So these are available here. Common OS logging 1.2 is required. Similarly, other things are like if you go with the Hibernate, probably here you have Hibernate. If you look at Hibernate, it's 4.01. In the lib folder, you can find all these files. So here, required files you can find here. All these are available in this. DOM for J is available, Common OS collections is available here, Hibernate core is available. So all these files you can be finding. Antler 2.7.7, all these you can find within the Hibernate lib folder. Then this file JPA, persistent API, it is available here. Similarly, optional things you have here. So this is okay. Like this, these are going to be different types of files you can use, but the required one are available for us here. Required files are available within the required. So here Common OS is required, DOM for J is required, because we have configuration files in this. You can actually manage them with the help of the DOM for J, and one more thing is Common OS collections, that is also required. With the help of that, we can be doing it. So here, this must be available in the class path. If you look at this, you find them in the class path. We kept that in the class path file. If you come to this point here if you come to this, not in the Hibernate, if you come to the data file, we have that. Go to data files. In the data files, in this particular folder, I have kept it. Common OS logging 1.2 bin. So in this, I have kept it. One is what? Common OS logging 1.2, Common OS logging 1.2 Java doc. So like this here, I have kept the file. This is very much needed. So if you look into class path, you can find it. This one, go to computer. Then here, look into properties. This you can find in the advanced system settings. Using class path, you can look into that. So if you come to class path, it is available here. Since it is too small, we need to use a notepad. In the notepad, it can be kept. I put here. It is available for us. The path is something like this here. Data files, Common OS logging. This is 1.2-bin. Then Common OS logging 1.2. Here semicolon we kept. So if you look at this, you find here the required Common OS logging library. It is available, and along with that we are keeping the required Hibernate file within the application itself. We copied and pasted in the application itself the required main Hibernate file. Hibernate file we kept here in this. If you look at the application, it is available for us. Hibernate 3-3.1.jar file, it's available. Along with this, we kept the reference to library also here. DOM for J, Common OS, these are also we added here. So with the help of this now, it can be working for us. So we need to keep them in the class path, then they can be working with us. We need to keep in the class path them. Even you can be referring them, you can be adding them here. But this added kept in the Hibernate application folder. Otherwise, you can take this, you can put in the class path straight away. This also can be getting accessed. Without putting here also, you can access them. So it is required in the class path always. You need to put in the class path, then it can be working with us. So in the class path, you have to set. These are the files required in fact. So Hibernate requires these files. DOM for J is required. Then Common OS also required here. We kept them. Then see, if you look in the, we have two different XML files. One is Hibernate properties file. Other one is actually Hibernate configuration file. So if you look into those files, what are written? See in this. First thing is here, Hibernate configuration, session factory, property name, Hibernate hvm2 ddl.auto, we kept here. What operations you can perform? See in this. This property can validate or can update or can create and drop. These are possible in this. So it can validate, that means existing database can be validated in such cases. Update means what? It can be updating existing database here. Create means new things can be created here. Create and drop, it can be creating, when you start application, so once your application completes, it's going to be dropping. In the case of testing environment, we can use that. So this create and drop, in the case of the code first approach we use. We use in the code first approach. Whereas validate and update, we use with the database first approach. First you create database and try to map there. So otherwise, in the case of create and create drop, it's in the case of the code first approach. When it's database first approach, in such case you can use validate and you can use the update. Database already created. If you want to validate existing database or if you want to update, you can use there the validate or update. If it is actually creation of database automatically through your code, that's called as code first approach. So therefore you can create as well as you can even drop it. Once your task is completed, so at the end of your work you can be dropping it. In the testing environment, this is going to be very much useful. So with the help of the HBM to DDL.auto, we need to set the property. Then followed by here dialect. What dialect you are using? So whether you are using Oracle 10G or 11G or MySQL or SQL Server, whatever it is, you need to put there. Then other thing is what here? Connection URL. You need to specify here, like in the JDBC, how you specify in the same manner. This is JDBC, Oracle thin, localhost 1521 port number, X is nothing but Express Edition. Then followed by username we specify, password we specify, the driver name also we are going to specify. So like this what we do, we create the Hibernate configuration file. Stephen, any questions on this?
No, I'm okay.
Adam, you have any questions? Tarun, you have any questions in this?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
If we are going to write our password and username, and then someone can access our file, then they will come to know what is our user and password.
While testing, you do it.
So this is for testing purposes that we are doing
purpose. Normally we do this. So
Okay.
because Hibernate in the production environment also we use, but see this is for testing purpose. See in such cases, this is for the connection. Connection is known by everyone in fact. Connection is known by everyone in fact. With the help of this you'll be getting connected here. This is what configuration file. This can be even XML file can be, this particular file can be even encrypted. So if you encrypt, this is going to be working. These all can be a little bit advanced concepts we discuss later on, but first of all let us proceed with this. So this is going to be here a username and we give here password. With the help of that we are going to be getting connected with the underlying database. So username and password we make like this here. It's going to be Sridhar, then it's going to be password. And see the development environment, definitely they know about this. Development environment, this is with the developers, they know about the user ID and password. It's not for developers, it's for actually internet users. With single name only, number of people they can be accessing database. It's not that for every user you have a password. For example, you take internet application. So in the case of internet application, what happens? You may be having lakhs of users. For each and every person, you create a database password and username.
No, sir.
Understood my point?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, same username and password. Username is nothing but actually it's a role. Based on role, actually you are getting connected. Same name can be used by number of users. End users can use same name. With Sridhar name only number of people they can be getting connected. It's role name basically. User means here you need to think as a role. So that way you have certain privileges to work with the databases. You create a role. As per role you are going to be working. User means not one physical user, that is. It's going to be a role, because if you take an internet, you create users, but those users are different from the database users. They are your application users. Their data also you maintain in the database. Their data also you maintain in the database, but it's not actually a database user there. It's only your application user. This is the difference between application users and database users. So these people, they have certain privileges to work with the database. So these are nothing but roles in my opinion. Sridhar is a role, then Shaman 2010 is also nothing but a role. So based on that we do it. Correct? Understand my point?
Yes, sir, but I also have one more question.
Yes.
Uh, Sir, the difference, as far as my understanding is, the difference between Hibernate and JDBC is just that Hibernate we don't need to write the SQL query, wherein JDBC we have to write the
Yes,
SQL
yes,
query.
yes. In the JDBC you have to write. That's what. Without
But
bothering much about the internal details, you are going to manage it. Object as it is, you are going to map with the database.
uh right, sir. But
That's what
sir,
that is basically ORM. If you write queries again in the Hibernate, then no point in having the having this particular ORM tool. So using Hibernate itself, you can be managing things. That's what is actually ORM mapping.
so sir, do we need to use JDBC and Hibernate parallelly, or we can use
Internally,
either or?
internally it uses. It's going to use either JDBC or it can use JNDI.
Sir, can you write it?
See, it can be using internally either JDBC or JNDI.
Uh-huh. GRDI. Okay. Okay. What is GRDI, sir?
That is naming interface you have there. Naming directory interface. See, everything you are going to, for everything you are going to have a name. That is a protocol, in fact. With the help of that, you can be accessing. Yesterday, I have sent some material on that,
Uh-huh.
on the
Right, sir.
JNDI.
Uh-huh.
You can be using different protocols. You can be using DNS, or you can be using LDAP protocol. All these are terms related to network, in fact. So
Right.
you have actually LDAP, or you can have Active Directory services, or you can have there something like DNS. So that way you can be maintaining every resource in the network should have a name. With the help of name, you are going to access there. Every resource in the network should be having a name. So with the help of such interfaces, you can be accessing those resources. Database also having the same manner a name, so you can access the database with the help of that.
Sir, can we, like in JDBC, we have a result set, so we can get the data from the database.
Yes.
Do we have the same privilege over here in Hibernate?
Here, see, we have a query object. With the help of query object, we can be getting, as I told you, configuration. Then this is what session factory, session, transaction query. With the help of query, you can be querying the database.
Okay. And where does the data get stored, sir?
See,
Result
this
set
is the
only?
application. When we go through application, you understand all those things.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
So
sorry,
this is
sir.
what exactly, first of all, CFG file we created, a configuration file we created for the Hibernate. For Hibernate, we created here the configuration file. The file name is exactly what here, Hibernate CFG. It's nothing but XML file. It should be a well-defined XML file. In the XML format only, we should be saving data here. Because DOM4J can be parsing through this particular thing. DOM4J, you have a class XML parsing, so it can parse the XML document. So whenever it's parsing, if it's not well documented, if it's not well maintained, if it's not a valid XML document, you may get error. So it should be in the same manner. You need to have a root node like Hibernate configuration. You should have a session factory. Then you should be having here the mapping resource also. More than one mapping resource also is possible there. Once for one entity, you can be having one mapping file. The mapping resource can be more than one. Here we are having only one, because one user we are trying to maintain in this. Because of that, suppose you have one more object, in that case you can have one more mapping resource in that. Here we have only one mapping resource. It's going to be user.hbf.xml. You can be having more than one object also. In that case, another mapping file you need, as far as the mappings are concerned. This is configuration file. Other one is going to be mapping file. For one user object, you have one mapping file. Suppose you have some other object, persistence object. For that, you should be having another mapping file. So with this, you are going to be getting connected. First thing is here, HBM to DDL.auto. This is HBM Hibernate markup. This is markup. We can say to DDL.auto. We have here HBM to DDL. DDL is nothing but here Hibernate mapping. That is HBM stands for Hibernate mapping to DDL data definition language. Here either update, it can be create, or it can be validate, or it can be create a drop. These features you can be taking here. Similarly, we have here Oracle dialect. This is Oracle 10 dialect, 10G dialect we have used. 11G dialect also you can be using. Slightly there can be difference between 10G and 11G. So you should map appropriately them. Then you take the configuration file here. JDBC Oracle, thin driver, this is localhost 1521. The edition is what exactly Express edition. We specified the instance of Oracle XE, that is. So username is Sridhar and password is going to be Shaman2010. Then this is what exactly the jar file. oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. It's nothing but a jar file. At the same time, we call it as a driver. So we added a driver in this, and mapping resource is what here, user.hbm.xml. This is basically called as a user here. A user file, this is user mapping file we have here. The persistent object name is going to be here user. So let us open user hbm.xml and see in that how it is maintaining in this. You have something like this here. So like this is going to be Hibernate mapping. Class name equal to users.user. Users is a package, user is a class name. Table is what exactly, TBL users in the database. ID name equal to ID, this is generator class equal to assigned here. You assign a value here in this for this particular value. Then property name equal to first name, property name equal to last name. Like this we are trying to create. So this is basically what a mapping file, a configuration file we kept, a mapping file we kept. So configuration file, mapping file. After adding Hibernate library, and the reference libraries, we can go with the mapping files as well as configuration file. So once these are done, you can be writing code. The code is going to be here, manipulate data, Java we have here, we are going to write. On the top we are importing these, Hibernate query, Hibernate session factory, then transaction. Similarly, I am using here import users.star. From the users package, I am importing everything here. Then org.hibernate.cfg, say service registry builder, this I am adding here. Every object I am individually importing here. I am importing everything individually, query object, query class, session factory, transaction. But as far as CFG are concerned, everything I am going to include in this. Then service registry, one more thing is service registry builder, we are trying to add in this. Now in the main method, we write like this. Configuration CFG equal to new configuration. I create here configuration, first of all, instance. Then cfg.configure hibernate.cfg.xml. A configuration object can be created now. It's going to populate the data of the configuration file with the help of that. It's going to populate configuration data of the configuration file into this. So once that is created, I need to create here a service registry class. I need to create here a service registry like this. Service registry, this equal to new service registry builder dot apply settings. Then this is what here cfg dot get properties. We are passing this parameter build service registry. We make like this. In this we are going to build a service registry. Then after that we create a session factory with the help of the service registry here. We create a session factory. A factory object is available. So once session factory is available, we can be creating here session object. As I told you, we have like this the classes. What are the different classes we use in that? First of all, a session object is first of all a configuration is required. So once you create a configuration object, with the help of that we can be creating there a. So with the help of configuration object, we can create there a session factory. With the help of session factory, we can be creating session there. So first of all, we need to use configuration. With the help of that configuration, we can be creating here a session factory. So once session factory is created, we can create the session object. So once session object is created, we can open session. Then after that, we can be performing various operations in this. We made like this: transaction T equal to session.begin transaction, user even equal to new user, even.set id 119, even.set first name Jagan, even.set last name Reddy, session.persist we have written. So with the help of that, you are going to make it persisting in this. We are going to make it persisting. Then t.commit we have written like this. Data is going to be getting saved in the database with the help of this. Now let me enter different type of data. First of all, let us see here whether this table is available or not for us. Go to the database and see in that. This is here, connect. The username we make here. What is the username I am using in this? This is Hibernate configuration file. Let us try to create here this one. This is the username and password. I enter that. I need to type. Okay, this is Here select star from tab where t name like just we put here t only. Okay. This one is TBL users we have here. Select star from TBL users. What is happening? Does not exist this, but it's saying here TBL users.
TBL users.
Yes. Correct. Spelling is wrong. Okay. So you have data like this, but clearly it's not seen. Last name, first name table is existing for us, fine. Let us set actually some kind of. Okay. Like this now. ID, first name, last name, they are shown for us after formatting the columns. Like this we are getting it. Now let us try to change some data in this. What happens with that? See. Come to manipulate data. In this, let us try to see. Okay, so here try to put 120. Put like this here, Mohan. After that, try to insert. Then at the end of this when we are retrieving it and we try to show also data here in this. Here second thing is user ID also we can get. Get first name. Okay. Try to put here some 120. We just try to retrieve data. Once inserted, try to retrieve this. Whether it's existing or not, we can find out. Go with this. This run as Java application. So it's retrieving data. Whatever I entered at last is coming here for us. Keshav, Jagan, 120. The user retrieved is 120 Mohan Reddy. Just now I added that name. Now you can find that particular thing in this. It's giving you like this Mohan Reddy. Then this way we get one more data. Let us try to put in this. So the data must be getting inserted in the database here. Put like this here. Nice. Follow the Java application. One manipulate data. Click on this and try to run this.
So the only thing we have done is just to retrieve the data from the database?
No, even we are adding data in this.
I'm sorry?
We are trying to add data in this.
Yeah.
See, this is what 120 is a primary key. Let us try to put 121 in this. Okay, so we are adding data, new user. Right now, if you look at this, how many rows you have here? 3 rows available right now. If you execute this, you can find. And let us describe the table first of all. DESC followed by here TBL users. So this is what exactly ID, not null, number 10, that is first name, last name, like this. Here we have data. Try to now execute once again. I've changed that 1 to 1. Now it's inserting, see, one more thing. It is taking am just. So one more row is also added for us in this. Total, how many rows we have here? So we had just 3 rows prior to that. Now if you come to this, it can give you 4th row also. Ian Fleming's is added into this. So like this we created. Now let us try to create our own table from the class, from the program itself. We are trying to create our own class now. From the program itself, we are trying to make this particular thing here. So this is what exactly predefined one. But instead of that, we try to make our own new application in the Hibernate here. So we need to have here, first of all, the library added to Hibernate library we should add. Then second thing is going to be the mapping files we need to create. Then we need to write the required code this way. Now go to file, and in this what you do, new, then this is a Java project. Write this as new Hibernate app. We put like this. New Hibernate application, we write like this. Okay, now finish. We are going to finish here, then followed by new Hibernate application is here. Where is this jar file available for us? Okay, let us copy and paste the particular file into this here. Hibernation app Hibernate we have here. Fine. This is what 3.3-3.3.1.jar file is available for us. So let us take and put that. These are predefined files available for us. Let us try to add first of all the jar file in this. Go to this, then properties, here build path. So add here jars, add external jar file. This is from the C drive. Okay, Hibernate application. This let us try to put here, open. Okay, reference to library is this. It is added here. Now followed by, let us create here the configuration files, as well as let us make configuration files by addition in this kind of folder. Okay, so come to this, then add the configuration files. How we add configuration in the same manner, let us try to add in this. In the SRC itself, we try to put the configuration files. Let us take the configuration file, try to add these. These should be XML files. So take from this only, and try to put that. It's no issue. Later on, we modifying that. So in this, let us create configuration files. So go to this, Then right here, new, this is here, other XML file. Click on next. Put the name as here. Name is going to be Hibernate CFG. XML we put. Then click on next and finish. Here itself we try to paste it. Okay, slightly we need to change in this. We have to change few things from this. So here instead of using update, we make this time create. Create we use here, followed by drop also. Once it's finished, we can be dropping that particular thing. So we can create as well as we can be dropping it. So we just create first of all, later on we can look into that particular thing. Create, this is going to be, and this is the user ID and password. This is fine. Here I put employee .hbm.xml. We have like this employee.hbm.xml file. We need to create now in this. So create one more XML file in this. So new, followed by in this other XML file. File name is here. This is going to be employee.hbm.xml. Okay, XML file. Next, this is employee dot file name is here, hbm.xml file. We need to have here hbm.xml, put like this. Click on next, then finish this. We finish it here. Then from the other file, user HBM file, same thing we take and we try to map in a different way. Okay, we take like this and try to put here in the HBM file. Now here, this is what we create here, emps dot employee. We need to create persistent class there. Table name is what here, tbl. Any emps table do we have? Let us see. Select start from tab, put it here, where okay, start from tab and we put tname. TBL users, TBL employee we have here, employee we have, TBL EMP we don't have, we can create TBL EMP therefore. Let us try to create TBL EMP, we don't have that. So this should be what here, TBL EMP we put. Then this is what name ID, class unassigned here.
So, Professor,
Yes.
here is Hibernate mapping. You actually create a table here, right?
Yes, now I'm going to create a table in this. Existing table I don't use, I'm going to create a new table from this.
Okay.
Because if you look at the Hibernate CFG, what I have written create.
Yeah. Okay. You don't want to modify it, you want to create.
I don't want to modify, I want to start everything from new. This approach is called as code first approach.
Sorry?
Code first approach. I'm writing first code, out of code I'm creating the database.
Okay.
When I'm not clear on what has to be done, I can use this approach.
Okay.
Often this happens in the application development. We are not clear of what exactly, what we have to do exactly, we are not clear on that. So in such cases, you can approach this adopt. And once this task is completed, even you can be deleting it. No longer you are going to retain table. Once this operation is completed, even the table can be automatically dropped. So for that purpose, you can use create, drop also option there. So once your task is completed, even you can be dropping it. Create hyphen drop also you can put in this. So this feature is required when you want to test your application. Getting my point here?
Yeah.
So create and drop. You can create table, you can be dropping immediately. Next time when you launch application, what happens? Again table gets created. At the end of the application, it's going to be dropping. So I use here create drop in this. I can use create or I can use create drop. But when I use create drop, suppose you close here and if you go to database, it cannot be seen. So therefore put only create in this. The HBM to DDL can be create or create drop, or it can be other things also possible there. It can be validate, it can be update, it can be these are possible for us. You can have validate, you can have update, you can have create and create drop. This is basically HBM to DDL. I just want to create in this. Now using employee.hbm.xml, I would like to do this. So HBM.xml file, it's containing like this data now. So name emps.employee, table equal to tbl emp, then name equal to id. This is id is required. With the help of this id uniquely, you can identify a row in the database table there. So id equal to id, name equal to id we kept here. Here generator class equal to assign, we are assigning a value for this. Then we put here first name, then last name. One more thing also we put like this here, property, this one. This is what department we put here, property name equal to department, I should put here, name equal to department. Like this I want to make here. I would like to make in this manner. Class name equal to emps.employee, table equal to tbl emp, id equal to name id, this is generator, class equal to assigned, then property name equal to first name, property name equal to last name, property name equal to department. I would like to create these three different columns in the given database table. I would like to create these three columns in the database. Now let us make like this here. After that, come to the code part now. We need to come to the code part now, but before that we should be creating here employee table. We need to create employee table here in this. Come to source. In the source, first of all, employee class we need to create. We need to create a new class here. Let us create a new class. Class name is what exactly? Employee we need to put in that. This is here. Package name is emps. Put like this. Followed by here it is employee we put. We are going to put employee in this. This does not contain anything like main method. Just we create a POJO here. Click on finish. So this is containing here now a employee object in the package emps. Here we need to have the set and get methods. Right here private. First of all, we need to have here an ID. Take same thing, then quickly we can do it.
So what is an ID?
ID is identifier. With the help of that, you can be identifying uniquely the row in the table. It's an ID basically. So private in ID, then this is private string, first name, last name. One more thing is what here? Department. We have in that. If you open employee HBM, we have here one is name equal to ID, then this is ID we kept like that, followed by first name, last name, then department. With the help of this uniquely you can identify a row in the given table. How do you identify a row in the table? Based on this ID only, you can be identifying it. Understood? It's something like primary key.
Okay.
So this is what here ready-made we are using, private int ID, then private string first name, last name, department. We created like this, these things. Followed by we set even get and set. We set here get and set. One other thing we require is here department. Once again copy this, put that. Okay. This is what here set department, get department. string, this is what exactly department. This is going to be here, this dot department equal to, you can put here department. And this is here get department we put. And return, this is what exactly department we put here just. Like this we are going to be returning. This is basically what a class we created. This is called as here a plain old Java object. This is only plain old Java object. In this you have only the employee class name we have, followed by there is actually an ID, first name, last name, department available here. We are setting and we are getting. Like this we created a plain old Java object. We don't have any other functionality in that. It's basically meant for giving persistence, just to hold data only we have here. This also called as sometimes an object, plain object it is. So here we just hold only data, it does not have any intelligence, unlike business objects. Business objects may be having intelligence, but this does not have any intelligence. It can hold only data, just like normal data types, something like in the primitive data, INTA you write. In the case of INTA, this only A, you can hold some value. Same thing is happening in this. It can have just data, for holding data only we use it. This is called as plain old Java object. Gaurav, following this?
Yes, sir.
Following this, Gaurav?
Yeah.
So this is basically plain old Java object we created in this. It's containing these getters and setters. It's having getters and setters like this we created. One more point you see, automatically a folder created in the SRC. This is nothing but here package. Under EMBS package we have employee object. If you look at employee of HPM, these properties are available. ID is available, first name is available, last name is available. Now come to the SRC, here try to create some other class. One more class is required here. So go to this class, then try to manipulate here. This is what EMP manipulation. Put like this, EMP manipulation. This contains a main method here. Click on finish. So package EMPS we have in this. Now here we need to have the Hibernate related stuff in this. It's going to be, it's not package EMPS actually, we kept, okay, not required in this area. I can cut, I think I can delete this from here. Yes. Coming to this point, then here I can create new, no package. I don't use any package here in the SRC itself. I want to make it EMP manipulation. This contains the main method. Like this, I put it. Now, within the default package is getting created for us. Okay, we created like this. Then here we need to map few other files here in this. Okay, that is better. So here if you come to the Hibernate application, how I was mapping, just I take and map on the top. This I am going to map here. This I am going to take. Okay. So copy that, then come into this file here, EMP manipulation. Try to put on the top of this here. We try to import, it's not accepting. This is what exactly.
Because it's not the same library.
Yes. 1 minute. Library. The reference to libraries are taken here.
You have to
Add it to
transfer
this
the
first.
jar files to the same library.
1 minute. This is not actually getting mapped first of all properly. So let me what files they are exactly. Let me see. It is available here. It is available, but this is not added to the reference library here. And the reference library is getting mapped. This is fine here. But okay, it is. Yeah, it fixes. It's saying here Hibernate jar file. Hibernate map file is available here. Okay, I kept here also this one. In Java, apps hibernation APP. This is not part of that. It's not part of that. Find here. So go to data files, desktop, and in this data files, if I take, so in this I have here Commonos. I have only this one. However, it is not available in this. I do one thing. Okay, I just take this one C drive. C drive. This is new EMPS, and from this Hibernate application. So let us take this Hibernate 3.1 followed by this is what application I am making now with this. It's going to be say new Hibernate. New Hibernate. This is take here new Hibernate app. Just paste in this. I kept like this. After that, okay, new Hibernate app properties. Then this one I can remove it from this. Now add here jars. Okay, new. New Hibernate app we have taken. This is okay. So why if I look at this, this is going to be reference to libraries or
Professor, sometimes
yes.
actually when you go out and save it and come back, it's going to be fixed.
No, it is. I'm referencing the other way actually. Hibernate, something else I'm using there. Here, I think this is not complete. 3.1 we don't have completely. It is not 3.1. This is not correct one actually. This is not the correct one. Now we need to refer this properly. We need to refer. It is not having the required library. Let me add the library to this. So what library actually I'm using in this? If I come to Hibernate app, you go with the reference to library, we find here. This is actually 4 I am using. Where is this 4 available for us? It is 4.01, there it is available. Okay, so it is available. All these must be added there, then only it can be working with us. Let me add all these things. JBoss is not required, but these are required. So let me go to the concerned library. From there, I'll be adding it. This is not required. Properties. Hello. చెప్పండి శ్రీనాథ్ ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ తర్వాత మాట్లాడదాం ప్లీజ్. Let me remove this jar file first of all. After that, I'll be adding other jar files. These are not the correct set of jar files. Add external jar. Then come to desktop. Here we have Hibernate folder. From Hibernate folder, I should be adding. That is incomplete library 3.1. It was very old library. We were using Hibernate folder. This is 4.01 here. So library we take. Hibernate jar files, required files are available here. We'll select all the things. Let us open this. Now for everything that is actually, there is no problem now with this. ODBC automatically getting added there. Everything is getting, no, not here. Where exactly are we? Okay. Come to this, and if we expand libraries, these are available for us here. Required thing one more is for us, we need to add another library also, that is JDBC. We need to add in that. Come to this point, then go to properties, and from here, now this is external jar file. On the desktop we have the ODBC file, Oracle file we have. Let us take that and try to put open. Now click on OK. Now these are added to the library. In the reference libraries we can get now. Oracle JDBC also added. These are available. Now errors also disappeared for us here now. Let us come to the coding part. The coding also, again, remembering everything is difficult. That's why one by one we take and try to put from here itself. Same thing we can use. Not these one. Okay. Up to this we come. One important thing in this, in the Hibernate configuration file, here we should set the employee hbm.xml we kept here. This is employee hbm. Yes, correct. This is. So we created same thing. Based on that, we are going to put it now. So exactly employee hbm.xml file. Here we created same thing. This is fine in this. Okay. Now come to this manipulation here. Fine, we created like this. First of all, configuration. It's going to be getting configuration data from the Hibernate cfg.xml file. Then we create service registry. Using service registry, here we can get the session factory. Session factory equal to cfg.build session factory service registry. Using service registry, we are going to build the session factory in this. If factory is not null, unable to create factory message is given here. Otherwise, we open the session. Up to session opening, we complete it. Now once again come to this one. What we are doing in that, see. One session is getting opened there. We try to do this way here.
Professor, I
Yes.
don't really understand why do we actually open session and close it?
With the help
I said,
of
what
session
do we
only,
that's
with the
out?
help of, with the help of session only, we are going to manipulate things inside that. Without session, you cannot save, you cannot update data in the given database. So session object is responsible for managing all those things. Without session, you cannot. Once again, let me explain you the different objects available in that. We have configuration and session factory. So with the help of configuration object, you get all configuration information. With the help of the session factory, you can be creating session. Even to create session factory, you require configuration object. So once you create the session object, you can be interacting with the database. You require a session there. Every user should be having own session. Session is basically establishing a connection with the database. Without session, how you get connected? Normally, in the case of Oracle also here, what I do, I am trying to connect followed by user ID and password I enter. Then only I can get connected with the database. So when I get connected with database, regarding me, there are certain thread maintained in the database. Whenever I send message from here, into that thread only it goes. So with the help of session, some kind of unique thread is created for you. Using that thread, you are going to access here. Session is
I mean,
basically for
when we use JDBC, we don't open session.
we open in the case of JDBC also, we are opening connection there.
Yeah, we open connection. We
Same
don't
thing.
open
Yes,
session.
we can open connection with the help of connection. We are going to do it. That connection opening is just nothing but opening session there.
Okay.
Same man. But here they use different words that much. So once session
Okay.
is open, you can be interacting with the database. Otherwise, unique how you identify. There can be number of users. When you have number of users, every user should be identified based on the session only there. So in the case of web also, normally what happens, simultaneously number of users they get connected web. When they are getting connected to website, a session gets created for every user. Every user is going to have their own session. So based on the session only, users can be identified. Whenever a request is coming, so from which web browser it's coming. So whenever you start a web browser, session gets created. That is maintained in the server. So subsequently, if you get a request from a browser, already browser information is available with the server there. Based on that, it identifies the session. In the same manner, it can be maintaining here. So it's maintaining some kind of, say something like request response here. So whenever you make a request, your information, your authenticated maintained there. As long as you don't close your session, it will be maintained there. That way, it happens here. So it's all handshaking. To shake hands, you have to know about each other. Same thing is happening in this. If session not equal to null, what we do? We create the session object here. Then here in this, we make the employee. Employee EMP equal to, we write it new employee. Why can't we create employee? So reason where I'm writing this. So I'm not in this. It should be okay. Should not be anything in that. I was doing somewhere else. Manipulate data. There I was trying to do. So that's all. So we take the same thing in this. Take this and try to come to the other one. In the employee manipulation, we put it. So on the top, first of all, we need right here. It's not users. It should be what exactly that is EMPS dot employee we put here. Like this, try to maintain in this. This is going to be here employee. EMP equal to new employee. This is create like this an employee object followed by here it is EMP dot set ID. Assign some value, something like 100. Let us put. Okay. Then similarly, emp dot. Next thing, this is here. Set name, set first name. Set last name we put. So then other thing is here emp dot department, emp dot set department. Put the department name, something like accounting we put. Then after that we try to make it persisting here. Try to put this as here emp. So once this is completed, we can here even t dot say commit. You can put this. Then after that session dot close. Also put it.
What does session persist EMP does actually?
It's going to be saving data. It's going to be saving object as it is in the memory with the help of the session dot persist. So after this I write here system dot out dot println. Here write object made to object saved. Put like this. In the database it's going to be saving this one. So this persist we have written this way, and this should be all in the try catch block. Normally we need to put in the try catch block all these. Otherwise there is a possibility of throwing exception. Here we put throws exception. Like this we made a simple program. With the help of this we created here configuration files as well as mapping file, XML mapping file. With employee we created a Pojo plain old Java object. Then we are trying to create an object of it. With the help of the employee class we created object. We assigned here various data. Then after that using transaction we are going to be saving it in the database. So object must be saved with the help of the persist in this. So here what happens, table gets created and gets saved in the database for us. Let us try to run this. Okay, EMP manipulation, go to this, we try to run this one. Run as, run configuration, run Java application. cfg.xml not found, it says why it is, we kept here.
You didn't catch it.
Yes, we kept it. Employee hibernate.cfg.xml we kept it. Okay. Then other thing is here what we kept this hibernate.cfg.xml. Correct only, it's available for us. Hibernate.cfg.xml is available in this. Here also we have spelling anything wrong in this. Hibernate.cfg.xml is available in this. Okay. Hibernate.cfg spelling is also correct there. Okay. Look at EMP manipulation. Once again try to run this. Run as Java application. Why everything is taking in that? Okay, take the class other types. What is doing here in this? New Hibernate application. And this is the source we have here. Employee manipulation. Java application this is. We added properly everything. The library is also same, not difference in this. Fine. Okay. Understood the problem. You can move them and put in the local package. The same manner. Okay. These are configuration issues. Run as object save. We are getting message here. If you go to this one, you need to see. Select start from tab. What's the table name? We created here TVL employee. But what we created exactly in the employee at HBM, TVL EMP is required. Okay. Create a TVL EMP. We can see data in that.
Yeah, it's on the top.
Yes, on the top it's created TVL EMP.
Yeah, the first one. Did you see it?
1 minute. Select star from TVL EMP. Data must be available for us on this. You have here formula for M in the place of M or it should be M. It's creating, even we can describe the structure here. This is what.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes, yes.
When you started actually talking about the Hibernate, you said that it's when we have a programming object and then data mismatch with the database.
Yes.
So what kind of mismatch did you mean actually?
Main thing is you take the data types in the database and you take the data types of the classes. Can we have any mismatch between them? Any misunderstanding between them? Is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, like.
That's what. That is called as actually impedance. That impedance mismatch can be managed with the help of the Hibernate. We call it as, say, string. There we call it as varchar. Here we call it as, say, something like double. There we may be saying number. So these can be mismatches between them. So these can be handled comfortably with the help of the Hibernate. And when you take a class, you may have one class here, but the same class data may be in multiple tables in the given database. Agree with that?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
like, yes.
You can manage things.
But I understand that actually, like, this is a good way to access database.
With Hibernate, you
do modification on tables.
Yes, see, I mean, normally when you try to access when you try to access from the SQL, it is in few years before that was a sophisticated way, but these days actually crude way, because requirements are continuously evolving, continuously they are changing. To meet today's requirements, see, using SQL also you can meet, but here the time constraint, how much time you need to complete the task, that is going to be very important. So in such areas, the Hibernate is going to be fitting. Without too much complexity, without having too much technical details, technical knowledge, we can manage things. So that's the power of Hibernate basically.
Okay, so for example, like if you want to write all your queries,
yes,
like in you put all your queries in employee HBM.
Queries we don't write in the employee HBM.
So for example, like as far as I know, I mean, some friend of mine actually explained to me.
Yes.
I have never dealt with it. Is that like nowadays we don't write all the queries in the SQL. SQL we just use it on a database and actually like we use Hibernate instead.
Yes.
But then if we actually there is a problem with the SQL, like with the database.
Yes.
Or actually, if we have a ticket, we receive a ticket that, for example, something has to be changed.
Yes.
We just do the change to Hibernate. We don't actually go to the SQL and do the change.
Before you normally go into production environment, what you do, you can be creating and testing. Here we have an option, create as well as drop also, you have a feature. So what exactly you do with Hibernate? On the fly, you can be creating everything. On the fly, you can be dropping. So, I mean, before you move into production environment, you have to be rectifying everything with the development environment. The testing only you can do. With Hibernate, what happens? You try to create few database tables. Then after that, what happens? Are they working as per your expectation or not? If they don't work, you can draw from the code itself. You can modify. You can do. So that way, to stabilize database also. To stabilize application, to stabilize database also you can use Hibernate in my opinion. That way also it can be used. But once everything is completed, we should not be modifying anything in the production environment. Only in the testing environment we have to do all this. In the production environment, if somebody is trying to tamper with data, that can have cascading effect, that can even become disastrous. Normally updations we cannot do in the production environment. Only you can have insertions, you can have say some kind of deletions, but updation of database structure really not advisable as far as production environment is concerned. But only in the testing or in the development environment you can do. For that purpose, you can use things like here, create and drop. As soon as your table, your work is completed, you can be dropping it. Okay, so that way you can test, in my opinion. So modifying structure in the production environment is not at all advisable.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So further we continue tomorrow.
I think it's a difficult approach for doing something simple.
Yes, this is first. Yeah, for development mostly you can use this Hibernate in the when you develop applications at the time using code first or database first approach for developing and testing. This is very much comfortable in my opinion, rather than using the production environment. So when you want to develop application, when you want to test it, this can be a beautiful environment. With the help of that, very quickly you can develop, you can test even applications. I think in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be sharing few material on this, few topics on this actually. Just go through that. Tomorrow we do further on this.
So, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So, sir, this is just for testing purposes, not to actually make the database.
No, you can use for making also, but in the testing environment, it fits more and more in my opinion. While you develop and while you test, this is going to be absolute fit in my opinion.
So, for making a table, actually, we have to use SQL.
No, from here also you can make. First time you can make it, but see, in the code, if it is not existing, it should be made. If it is existing, you should use like that. You have to do it. That is better in my opinion. Already you must make database. Once database is available, then you can get connect with Hibernate. That would be better.
Okay.
But for testing,
Thank
it's
you.
useful very much. Correct. On the fly, you need to make modifications. So in such case, it depends on us. In fact, Taral, how effectively you can use it. See, this is a tool, kind of tool. How you want to use, you can use.
Because I thought that for just adding one piece of row,
Yes.
we are writing like 3 files, and
No.
3 files of
It's
code
not
just
adding.
for like adding one row, and that is like too much time consuming.
We have one
So,
table only. We have one table, because of that we do like this. When you have multiple objects, multiple tables, it's going to be more and more. Otherwise, you need to write a lot of query. See, in database development, in application development, what happens? Not only writing one person, everyone. Only one person cannot do all these things. Database developers are different. Application developers are different. So you require more and more manpower in such cases. Even you can reduce manpower also with the help of the Hibernate kind of thing. But there can be issues with administration. Administrative privileges are required. So, suppose a application developer is allowed to create tables on the fly like this. What about the permissions in the database? That is another issue or not?
yeah.
So all this complexity we have, but whenever you try to develop, whenever you test at the time, this is more and more useful in my opinion. In the other ways also you can use, but I would like to use in that way.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Johab, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Gaurav, you have any
Can you
questions?
just share this video today only?
I'll share. Gaurav, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Yeah, at 3:30 we meet, Gaurav. My time. It's going to be 6 a.m. for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Joab, around 7 we meet, my time.
And sir, I have a question too.
Yes.
So just for the resume, my marketing manager changed like the projects for me. So
Okay,
I
we
have
discuss then. I mean, evening at 7 a.m., 7 p.m. 7 p.m. of my time, please be available, Taral.
okay 7 p.m. of your
It's
time.
both
Okay,
yoga,
sir.
but if you are available, we discuss at the time.
Okay, 7 p.m. of your time, sir.
Yes.
Okay, on Skype,
Not on Skype, on the GoToMeeting.
on GoToMeeting.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Simple, will you attend tomorrow sessions?
Sir, you're asking me?
Yes, no, everyone I am asking.
Yeah.
Will we have session tomorrow or not?
Yeah, we can have, sir.
Yes, we'll have session tomorrow.
Okay.